Okay. So Jupiter Hybrid is someone that got big on TikTok. Okay. So this is a little cow from the TikTok sphere. As you can see, there's miles of content. There's miles of content regarding Jupiter, and Jupiter. And it's this lovely individual here. They are a werewolf. They've been caught multiple times engaging with children, like actual children, um, on TikTok. Have been outed a couple times, and then have been recently outed, uh, apparently by their sister, which is what I want to cover. But a big person of the Jupiter sphere is Linda Binda. Linda Binda has done some epic level trolling in getting information out of Jupiter. Has kind of made it into Jupiter's inner circle several times. They've uh Jupiter's also like threatened Linda Binda with like actual violence and stuff a couple times, threatened to like kill them. So yeah, so we're gonna kind of go into um the whole more recent updates with Jupiter, and then from there I want to cover some allegations and stuff that have come out with regards to Linda Binda.
With the biggest smile, with the saddest story.
Think that you are one of the kindest people I know. But it's funny that some of the people that have gone through the most in life are some of the most.
Oh, is that my family will never that for me. So I try to be that for others.
How's it going, Chinchilla Nation? In today's video, I think this is
You are completely correct, Ellington. And Jupiter makes trans railroad furry skinhead look like child's play. Well, you know what? Consider Jupiter a little bit of a palate cleanser. You may not like the taste of this palate cleanser, but it's a palate cleanser.
is going to be the most frustrating thing you guys will ever hear, because you're going to be hearing from Jupiter, Jupiter's sister, and Linda Binda. And just a side note, I'm not too sure what's going on with Linda Binda's Discord, so I won't bring it up too much in this video, but there's some questions about it
And we're going to cover that.
that need to be answered, and I hope she gets to it real soon. Because in her most recent video, where she's talking to Jupiter's sister, she comes off as a defender of children, and it's quite possible that that might not be the case. Now, I hope for the sake of all children and all good in this world that this is just a mistake and it gets cleared up, but we will see, we will see. But onto the subject at hand. After the initial interview with Linda Binda, Jupiter's sister has come into some crossfire, met a whole lot of people she was never expecting to, attention that you just can't expect in this world, because she is the sister of a lolcow. One of the biggest lolcows now, and truly an enigma, because we don't know that much about Jupiter. We know like the super bad things, we know all the weird stuff he does, but besides that, Jupiter doesn't do a lot of videos that like exposes himself. At the most, he gets on TikTok, claims his innocence, and just listens to some weird emo music in the background. But unlike Jupiter, Jupiter's sister does not want this attention. She doesn't want to be famous. She doesn't want to get in contact with a whole bunch of little kids, just like Dan Schneider did. No, that's not what she wants. She was hurt in her. She was a victim of Jupiter, and now she can see that the cycle is continuing, and all she wants to do is help. So let's see what she's got in mind to help, or any more information she can give about Jupiter.
Ever since the last interview, we've been talking, just getting things off our chest in regards to Jupiter. But now we're here again because there's some things that Kia wants to talk more about.
I guess the first thing is everybody's wondering the big question, why aren't the police doing anything? Where he's at, he is currently in a place where they are keeping an eye on him. However, he is free to come and go and all of that. The problem that they're having with charging him is that there's nobody coming forward that says, yes, I was a minor. Yes, this happened. So like they have the videos and stuff, but without names and faces and whatnot, they really can't do anything.
Exactly. And that's why the past few weeks people have been saying, Linda, where are you? Linda, where are you? Where's the Jupiter videos? And I told them, I'm not focusing on Jupiter right now. I'm focusing on helping the victims gain confidence to step forward to the police. Let me say, yes, the Nampa police are keeping an eye on him. They are. He's not allowed to leave Idaho. The one thing that irks me about the police, this past month I called them 12 times, left some voicemail messages, and I haven't got one response. And what irks me about that is I got a message from this woman that was pretending to be a reporter that only called that police station one time and got an answer because she was claiming to be a reporter. And the detective on that case, he basically spilled his guts to this reporter. And, I heard a lot. I heard that he went to go meet with Corbin. They sat down and basically said that Corbin is not someone that people should be scared of. That's what that police officer thinks. He said that they sat down together and he couldn't even imagine Corbin walking up a flight of stairs, which I mean is a very interesting visual. I'll say something else. To anybody that thinks it's a good idea, that thinks it's funny to get into contact with Corbin, I don't understand how your brain works. You've seen all these videos.
And Corbin is obviously referring to Jupiter. That's their actual name.
All these messages of him being a despicable human being, and yet you continue to decide to engage in a conversation with him. I think that it shows how little you disregard the safety of yourself and people around you. Because, you know, even if the police thinks he's not dangerous, Kia right here has dealt with him for many of years and she thinks he's dangerous. So who are you going to trust? The opinion of a police officer or the opinion of his sister?
It's different when you have a disability, a sickness in your head, and not just in your head, in your genes, and you use that to manipulate those people around you. There's a difference. That's just my frustration with it, because that's how that's been my entire life.
Because he says he has autism and ADHD, but I know a lot of people with autism and ADHD that don't dream about touching children.
Under Idaho law, he can't use his disability to hide behind.
The only thing we're waiting on, basically,
Is
is
people to
for,
come forward.
yes. I've seen comments of people saying, well, it's the minor's fault for DMing him, knowing that he's this public figure. Again, I'm going to read some of those to you. One of the things that you said struck a chord with someone. You said in the last video, I'm okay with what happened to me, as long as it doesn't happen to someone else. And they said that's literally so heartbreaking, but that literally tells you she's one of the purest souls on the planet. Justice for Corbin's family. This is truly heartbreaking.
I try to be as kind and as emotionally there and emotionally available for anyone who needs me, whether that be my friends, my family, my coworkers. I try to handle everybody with as much respect as I can. That comment really does heal a little part of me that was broken a long time ago, that still occasionally will open back up some random emotions of not being good enough or not being aware or kind enough. I just wanted to thank everybody else. I did go through and read all the comments.
Oh, another thing, guys, if you're watching this, please give Kia every single ounce of privacy that she deserves. She's a normal person. She's not a werewolf, vampire, dragon, unicorn, anything. So she's raven
All of that is real things that are associated with Jupiter.
to show you her face. So don't try to mess with her or stalk her or anything like that.
I appreciate that, Linda. Thank you.
I also wanted to take the time to update you on what your brother's been doing. I haven't said this online or anywhere.
Yeah, the Jupiter fort, aside from this sister, which is she's probably one of the nicest individuals to be associated with Jupiter so far. Jupiter's just to give you a little more rundown. They've threatened to actively harm people. Linda Binda, younger individuals, which is why they're probably saying some of the stuff about with what they've got for the videos. This person has done a lot of somewhat fetishy role play, age regression role play with minors. Oh god, I'm trying to think of everything. They've got the vampire werewolf thing that they keep running with, which I don't know what the fuck it is with the whole vampire werewolf bullshit and going after fucking kids, but this is what the fucking third or fourth time I've fucking heard this shit now. I'm trying to think of anything else of they've gone back and forth with Tafia Chu. They've said, to who gives a shit degree. They were racist and said a bunch of other shit, whatever. Idaho, no disrespect to anybody from there, but is colloquially known, as far as I'm aware, as being one of the highest oh god, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm horrible about words tonight. It's one of the highest concentrations of population for white supremacy, if I recall right. There's just a lot of really interesting stuff. A lot of very self-reliant individuals that have access to means to harm other individuals there. So, as well as skills, it's a very self-sufficient state, kind of in similar regards to maybe Alaska or so, as far as having people that live there that are very, very high on the self-sufficiency thing. he was doing stuff like before Camden made it popular. You're right, Jim. God, I'm trying to think. There's so much with Jupiter. They're just a disgusting fucking individual. Um, truly. Like, and they try to like basically feign innocence, and they use their disability to try and dismiss any allegations, and think that some of the half-ass apologies or even full-blown like confessions, so to speak, that have come out are sufficient enough for them to be able to come back onto TikTok as a platform and still be creating content.
Someone got access to his Messenger account, and they were looking through his DMs. And the first thing that I saw was he is dating a 15-year-old from the UK. Second thing is, he said that he wants to have children soon for two reasons. The first reason being he can populate the world with werepire cubs. The second reason being so that he can do things to the children that a father shouldn't do to children.
Just gonna let that sink in. Like, this is the kind of person we're talking about. Truly detestable human being.
So that's a little update on what he's been thinking. I also wanted to ask you, he's probably going to watch this one day.
So when it comes to Corbin and going to jail, I think it's absolutely astounding that the cops don't take him as a threat. You just got to listen to this fool for a little bit.
Okay, but just going off of word and things being said, there's not a whole lot the police can do. I'm going to kind of say it. I mean, there's been so many times, God, look at Cyrex. Necro mentioned Cyrex. Cyrex is literally threatened to like has been caught multiple times on stream threatening to kill specific individuals, and like they've even gone to the police about it. Other people have gone to the police about it, and like they've even gotten in contact with people, and they've been like, yeah, this is true. And there's not much they can do because it's a threat. It's a matter of like, it then comes down to, I believe that there's got to be like an evaluation of like whether they can actually potentially do the act that they're threatening. In a lot of cases, like stuff with Jupiter, basically because of their disabilities, they've been given the pass in that nobody thinks that they are able to go out and commit the acts that they are threatening against children, adults, etc.
I was recently watching a video about John Wayne Gacy where the police were looking at him and thinking, there's no way this guy was a serial killer because look how good of a person he is. Look at all the accomplishments he's had. There's nothing wrong with him. And then you take this cop looking at Jupiter and just all of his history on the internet. These cops had to look into that since the case on Jupiter was internet based. You'd think they would look into that, and just countless videos of Jupiter claiming to be a cupcake lover, claiming that he's innocent, and then claiming that he's totally into it. And then all the times he said he wants to hide bodies all throughout his state. I can't remember what state it's in. I'm pretty sure it's Idaho, but he just wants to hide bodies up and down it. So it's a really good thing that he's under constant supervision because the police, they don't take him as a threat.
I think that's the best you can get out of this case until some people come forward and say, yep, me. And the police, it sounds like they've got literally the evidence sitting in their hands. And if people come forward, they can go forward with something. But if nobody comes forward, what do you want them to do? They're not going to prosecute a crime against what? They can't do it on behalf of somebody. Unfortunately, this is not the way the legal system works.
Of anybody, you can take one look at Jupiter and tell he's not sound in his mind. Like, the only thing running through that brain is My Little Pony and the dark side of the internet. And how could you not think Jupiter is a monster after listening to his sister for just a little bit? I mean, it's truly heartbreaking to hear her story and to see like how she developed as a person through this. You can tell there's a whole lot of hurt there, and she's just trying to expose someone who hurt her, and no one's listening.
Thank you for that, GG. Exactly, the threat has to be actionable. Thank you. That's the word I was trying to think of, but obviously I've thought of every fucking other word than the words I want to tonight, probably because of worrying about how many FBI lists I'm on now. But yeah, paying for a flight to either fly out or fly to their intended victim. Exactly. They've got to have the means. Like, so even if it's to say, like, to argue Gigi's point, so Jupiter can be of age enough to buy the plane ticket. He could even technically have the funds potential to do it, but it's a matter of like how actionable, like, is he competent enough to know where to go to get a plane ticket, then arrange transportation to get to the airport, then to hop on a plane to fly to whatever state to then harm somebody, like, and all the stuff that has to happen along the way, arranging some transportation from his house to the airport to wherever he's going after like, there's a lot of stuff.
No one's helping. Even the police in her state, I believe she lives in the same state as Jupiter, have no interest in it. And she's just a victim, knowing that there's going to be more. Because the only reason there's not is a super Cyrax reason, because Jupiter is just a little too weak and a little too fat to actually harm people. But if he found the right person, he would groom them, he would manipulate them, and he would totally.
And to play into it, again, people, then they know Cyrex, okay? There's been even like Turkey Times recently done a documentary about him and everything. Cyrex, the only time that I know of that he's really gotten like in actionable legal trouble to where he's had to go appear in court was when he actually physically assaulted somebody and it got caught on tape and there was no disputing it. And then the neighbors sat there and corroborated everything. In fact, there was one neighbor that ran out and freaking defended them. Like, uh, it's sad, but at the same time, like, I don't think that I would want it any other way, because then you're talking about almost kind of like Minority Report type situation where the thought of a crime is enough to convict. And like, do you really want to, like, how many times have you been in traffic and somebody's cut you off and you're like, I could kill that person, even if it's a passing thought in your mind? Like, then you got to define like what's actionable at that point. Like, if you keep going, it just becomes like, it becomes so nuanced, and we're not in a position where we can even deal with it. Even with what we have, with what we prosecute, when people do end up actually being killed, where people do end up actually being harmed, either physically or otherwise. Like, how many times have we actually sent people to prison to death and stuff like that and gotten it wrong? Like, it's not a perfect system by any means. So to sit there and say that we have enough to put him away for what? And then even again, you got to look at Idaho as far as a state is a lot more what's the wording that I want to look for? More personal power than say a state like New York State, or California. Like, there's just, the laws are going to be different there to what may or may not affect like sentencing structure, may or may not affect to like what degree like these things happen. There's just a lot, there's so many moving parts to this. It's so much to quantify, and it's not as simple as people would like it to be, and I really hope it never is as simple as a lot of people wished it would be at times, because we would have to improve drastically in our justice system in order to ever be able to do this at the level that people are talking about.
Totally hurt them.
Sorry,
I mean, he
my
admitted this
rant's
on
over.
the Kiwi and Smokey interview, which we're going to be watching later in this video as well, so stay tuned for that.
No matter what, whether it's blood or adoption, he's always going to be my brother. I don't condone the things he does, but I'm going to choose to stay away until he can prove to me that he's changed.
Do you think that will happen? Do you think he can change?
I think anyone can change if they put their mind to it. However, they have to want to change first, and I don't think he does.
Has he ever been prescribed medicine?
Yes.
Do you think he's been taking it since I've known him?
He wasn't on medications when the last time I saw him.
So he's probably not on them now.
Probably not. However, I did see an incredible difference when he was on meds versus not on meds.
How do you feel about his residents enabling him to have internet, to talk to these people, to not? It's basically he's just living there under their roof, and they're just making sure he's alive. That's all they're doing.
I mean, they're required to, if he brings a minor to his home, to report it or whatever. But there's not really a whole lot they can do that wouldn't take away his human rights. And I've heard that there's a way that I could put him on. It's called a 5150. It's basically a mental health hold. They hold him for between 48 to 72 hours.
But again, that's only so long. And then if he passes the mental evaluations and is deemed, mentally healthy and medically healthy, they have to release him. I mean, this is just the same as like, police can't just arrest you and then definitely hold you. They can't. It's against the law.
And then you give him like a.
I mean, I can understand your thoughts and feelings on that for sure, Ellington. Like, I think that there is a path to prosecution for this guy. And I think it's a very, very easy path, given that what I've seen and what I know they probably have as evidence, um, just based off of the stuff that I've seen from the threats that he's made and everything else, like uh he clearly has anger issues. But the fact that I don't know, I couldn't, as much as I dislike the dude, I could not sit there and argue for the fact of like what the precedent of like stripping someone of their rights really means. And I know you're just being, you know, uh philosophical, for lack of a better way to say
Psychological evaluation.
Yeah. So mom was his guardian. Mom was his permanent guardian until she passed.
Yeah,
and now
agreed.
the guardianship, you'd think it'd go to my dad, but my dad didn't want guardianship of him because my dad literally told my mom in the hospital while she was on her deathbed, Corbin is your kid. He's always been yours.
Baby, stop this. This is not you.
You can't do that. That's wrong. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I remember so many times growing up, phone conversations between my mom, who was in the living room, and my brother, who was in a group home, of her just being like, Corbin, you can't do this. You'll get in trouble if you do. Was or is that you've had contact with him through, because otherwise they have no victims, so they have no case, even though there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of video evidence sent to everybody over there. I know that me being his family, I could put him on a 5150. I just have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that he's unstable.
Yeah. Well, I think that's easy to do.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anything can't help, except people watching this video trying to message him.
This is coming from someone who's dealt with him for 18 plus years. The more you egg him on, the more he's going to do. And I'm seeing patterns, and I'm just telling everybody this. I am seeing patterns, and this is why I'm coming forward with my story and doing my part in the police investigations and stuff. I'm seeing these patterns that I saw when I was a kid that led up to the many times that my life was almost ended.
If you see his social media out there, block him, report him, don't follow him. The more followers he has, the more of an ego he gets, and the more you're basically enabling him to keep on posting. He shouldn't be anywhere near a phone. He shouldn't be anywhere near a human.
And I mean, to give you an idea, just the ludicrous level of threats that this person has made. Basically, they threatened somebody. I think it was Linda Binda, actually, that they have people watching Linda's home, and that they're armed and trained shooters. That just with a call, they're trained FBI shooters or something like that. That just with a call, they could eliminate Linda, and they would never breathe another breath, kind of thing. Like, that's the kind of claims this person's making. So it's even a little more harder because there's a level of like insanity to those claims, especially when they're made in that regard.
Ben uses some of the same tactics that Junior used on us to keep us quiet. And one of those is, I can hurt you in any way that I see fit, and I can get away with it because nobody will believe you. And when you're told that enough, and I don't think people get this, if you're told that no one will believe you and that you deserve everything that happened to you, if you're told that for long enough and told it long enough, you're going to believe it, whether you think you will or not. And for those people who are saying things like, oh, they're probably just faking it for attention, you never believe that that stuff happens until it happens to you. The first time something like this happened to me, I was in Blue's Clues pajamas, and I was sleeping in a toddler bed. It does.
Yeah, right. Necro, you've got it. Yeah, that's something that Corbin's actually said, literally, that the FBI is at his beck and call, and you better watch out after all this stuff that's said, and after all the other stuff this stream said in this stream. The agent watching you reports directly to me, kind of thing. Like, these are literal statements that this guy's made. Yeah, exactly. It's hard for him to take it as a credible threat. Double-edged sword, cutting off all communication with him could have the opposite effect and make his delusions more present in his mind. And that's actually something that's actually occurred, specifically with Linda, because Linda kind of trolled Jupiter at first, and like they then ended up like breaking up. And after a while, like Jupiter was making like more and more and more and more ardent threats towards them, and Linda actually stepped back onto the scene to kind of uh squash things down a little bit because they were getting like so heated.
It doesn't matter what you wear, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter how you act, that does not warrant a reason for someone to lay their hands on another person, to sexualize a child.
So, as I said earlier in this video, there is so much unknown about Jupiter besides what he actually puts out. And normally what he puts out is just this edgy kid fandom where he thinks he's just a god among men. I mean, he's a top hacker, he's a murderer, he'll do anything that is just on the edge, you know what I'm saying? And then you have the normal people in Jupiter's family, the ones who didn't enable him, everyone besides his mother, and they all seem to want nothing to do with him. Could you imagine being a husband looking at your dying wife and her asking you to take care of one of the kids that she adopted and you just saying, no, he's not your problem to handle. You've done dealt with this your entire life. Now that she's finally dying, you're free. You don't have to deal with this guy anymore. And it's literally left Corbin to the state, and the only person in this world who still cares about him, and not cares about him in a loving way, who wants to see justice done, is his sister. I mean, she wants to take a 5150 out on him. She wants to protect all these people, and there's really nothing she can do. It's just high hopes. These are the people that are left. A victim of Corbin, and that's all there will be at the end. There'll be a bunch of people hating him and a bunch of victims left saying that this dude hurt me. And the police in Idaho, well, they better get ready to apply that death penalty, because if it's real, Corbin is a perfect example of why it should be, 100%. That was the end of Jupiter's sister's most recent interview. So I wanted to move on to Jupiter's most recent interview, because the dichotomy of these two people is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, be prepared for the walk in the wild side here.
You have the victim, who looks very similar to Corbin, but you can tell is a kind, sweet soul who doesn't want to see anyone else hurt in this world. And then you take Corbin, someone who's trying to portray being a kind, sweet soul who's just living in Fantasyland. Because at the start of Kiwi's interview with him, he just wants to talk about paranormal stuff. And the things that he can...
Yeah, this is from Kiwi's. Okay. So Kiwi Tapes did have an interview with Jupiter. I'm sorry, I'm trying to like talk and fast forward this here because I want to get this up.
And he was saying that you were a pedophile and that you were...
If your reflection when you turn away has turned around to look at you and it looks all wrong, that's still,
Yeah. It's...
I don't say it publicly because, of shit I've been through and the way people are treating me and whatnot. Hanging on walls or if your reflection when you turn away has turned around to look at you and it looks all wrong, that's still, it's still part of the... I'm just getting a case. I'm getting a feel for what's happening so that way I can, send help if I can, send CJ a text and say, hey, we have our first case. It's over in Kansas.
Okay. Called Kiwi Tapes, and he was saying that you were a pedophile and that you were doing all this stuff. So I was reluctant to contact the organization in the first place.
That's bullshit. I wouldn't dare harm a child, and even if I did.
Have you seen this video?
Yes, I saw I was in the interview when it happened.
I see.
Now that I'm not a child predator, I did it because I was drunk and I was lonely at the time. I was drinking heavily. I had just lost my uncle recently and was drinking heavily to try and numb my pain, to try and get away from it all. And I was drunk, I wasn't sleeping right, I was just in this slump, and it caused me to do some things that I regret.
So you are, but that's in the past.
Yeah, it's in the past. Let it be there. That's what I like to say, is let the past be in the past. Let your past die and be there in the past,
Yeah.
We need to get a hold of Brian for this one.
In the past.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's got nothing to do with paranormal investigation, of course.
Chinchilla Nation, when I first laid eyes on Jupiter, there was a thought that sprung in my mind, a person from my past that just completely reminded me of Jupiter, except without all the weight issues. There was this kid who transferred into my school around my 10th grade year. Him and both of his brothers were some of the strangest kids I've ever encountered, but strange in different levels. The one we're discussing right now, he came to school and he would all the time talk to...
Exactly, yeah, Necro. It really is a funny interview because it's kind of it reminds me of the whole White Bowser thing, which, by the way, White Bowser came back and has already left the building again. That's another situation that I'm monitoring for another lolcow. But yeah, they get on a call with, if you heard them, that was them talking to Kiwi about him interviewing with Kiwi, and he doesn't recognize that he's talking to Kiwi again.
This big game about how he's a murderer, a hunter. He'd go out and he'd just fillet deer for the fun of it. And he would talk this maddening stuff about demons and how he's a devil and how he believes all this crazy stuff. And you just, when you're a kid, you're sitting there thinking, and this guy, he doesn't have problems. He just has he just wants to be popular and he doesn't know how to do it. He thinks that being edgy and making people think he's tough and cool will get him some friends in this world. And that's just sad. So on the morning buses, every now and then, I would sit across from him because I didn't like sitting with anyone in the morning time. I would sit across from him and just listen to the ranting and raving that this dude would go on and on about. Because as you can tell from me making these videos, for some reason I was always super down to listen to the weird kid's problems. They were always really interesting. And for a few months, every now and then in the morning time, I would listen to his rambling and whatever he had going on in his life. Until one day he started telling me about his black book. And I got curious about this black book because he was telling me it's full of devil worship and all that nice stuff. So I was like, hey, can I see it? And he handed me this book, and even though I was scared of all the diseases that might be left upon my hand after grabbing it, I was too curious not to. So I go through it, and he's giving detailed drawings of students in my grade, kids in my school, about how he wanted to do terrible things to them. And I'm talking like top 2, top 3, worst things you can imagine. And from then on out, I was like, you know, the guys who I thought was going to finish off my school, this is the real one, and no one really knows about it but me. And I definitely continued to leave him alone and just talk to him every now and then, while I sit in the back of my mind thinking, he's the one, he's the real one. Not all the other ones we all say is the one, he's it, that's for sure. And I guarantee you, that's what all the other classmates around Corbin were thinking about him. Because even when he's 25 years old, he's sitting in his room, could be thinking of ways to get a job, lose some weight, get a girlfriend that's of his age. But no, Corbin's sitting there like, I'm gonna call this one dude who sent me an email probably, and we're gonna talk about paranormal investigations. And you know, in the back of Corbin's mind, he doesn't believe any of this. I mean, unless he's completely insane, which I do believe he's a little insane, but not all the way there. He's just sitting there going on and on about bullcrap, while he could be doing some real things in his life, like improving himself, or maybe fighting his urges a little bit better, because after Idaho launched the death penalty, you'd think he'd be watching himself and the way he talks to minors, but no, not Corbin, because in just a little bit, you're gonna hear that Corbin, he's a little more deceitful than he may come off, because he has all of the answers for Kiwi, when Kiwi's asking him, how do you groom people? And Corbin always sure knows all the answers. He doesn't seem like a smart person, but when it comes to that, he knows all the answers.
She stabbed me in the back, so I went with another girl by the name of Satori. She is an heiress to a millionaire, and her and I fell in love, and we started chatting, and I'm doing this because I don't want this, I don't want anything bad to happen to her. I don't want any evil to rub off on her. I love her wholeheartedly. I really do.
Yeah,
I
but
don't want this evil to end our relationship. You know, I don't want anything negative to happen to her.
yeah, I just have a legitimate, like, how old is she? Like, let's just.
She is in my age range, so.
Okay, so like, let's get a number. Like, I don't know. I know it's a weird question. I was gonna ask too. You know, since we're just on it, I know I've been asking you a lot of uncomfortable questions, but Linda's Discord, people are asking if Linda Binda had minors in her Discord, and you know if you were like maybe like at some point in your past, of course, talking to these minors.
That was a long time ago. I let it be.
I see. But there were kids in Linda Binda's Discord who you were talking to.
They weren't. That wasn't her Discord. It was a Discord I made a long time ago.
Okay.
On my laptop.
Spoken to the devil?
Do you realize you're
I know this is Kiwi on the call with him, Gigi. Smokey actually did a milestone recently. I don't know if you saw that. The dude broke 100K. So fucking happy for the dude. Like, him and Kiwi both put together some awesome fucking content.
talking to one of his demonic offspring.
You're a devil spawn?
Yes, I am his heir to the throne, his son.
I see. You're the Antichrist.
In hell, I'm Lucifile.
Luciphile?
Lucifile.
Okay.
Lucile.
Okay. Luciphile. Okay. So what does that entail? Like, what happens?
He's been in a mood lately, Father. He's been in a really bad mood.
I see.
Yeah, he's been in a really, really bad mood. I guess that's why everything's happening to you, is because he's in a mood. I don't know why, but he's just been in a foul mood lately, and I'm kind of scared to ask why, because every time I ask, he gives me this look like you don't want to know, or gives me this glare that says shut your mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I'm scared of the guy. I'm scared of him because he can be rather scary.
Change reality to where like you're a werepire of
Dude is the Anti-Christian. yeah, this is it's kind of a little meta conversation, because this is this Jupiter talking to Kiwi, but doesn't realize that it's Kiwi, even though he has talked with Kiwi previously. Like, it speaks a bit to, I really think the guy has got some deeper mental issues than what's led on to.
Yeah, but
I don't want this evil to end our relationship. You know, I don't want anything negative to happen to her.
yeah, I just have a legitimate, like, how old is she? Like, let's just.
She is in my age range. So.
Okay, so like, let's get a number. Like, I don't know. I know it's a weird question. I was gonna ask too. You know, since we're just on it, I know I've been asking you a lot of uncomfortable questions, but Linda's Discord, people are asking if Linda Binda had minors in her Discord, and you know if you were like maybe like at some point in your past, of course, talking to these minors.
That was a long time ago. I let it be.
I see. But there were kids in Linda Binda's Discord who you were talking to.
They weren't. That wasn't her Discord. It was a Discord I made a long time ago.
Okay.
It'll be on my laptop.
Spoken to the devil?
Do you realize you're talking to one of his demonic offspring?
You're a devil spawn?
Yes.
Right before that, okay.
In the past.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's got nothing to do with paranormal investigation, of course.
Chinchilla Nation, when I first laid eyes on Jupiter, there was a thought that sprung into my mind, a person from my past that just completely reminded me of Jupiter. He thinks they've been edgy and making people. For some reason, I was always super down to listen to the weird kids' problems. They were always really interesting. Of all the diseases that might be left upon my hand after grabbing it, do terrible things to them, and I'm talking like top 2, top 3 worst things you can imagine. And from then on out, I was like, you know, the guy to him every now and then, while I sit in the back of my mind thinking, he's the one, he's the real one. Not all the other ones we all say is the one. He's sitting in his room, could be thinking of ways to get a job, lose some weight, get a girlfriend that's of his age. But no, Corbin's sitting there like, I'm going to call this one dude who sent me an email probably, and we're going to talk about paranormal investigations. And you know, in the back of Corbin's mind, he doesn't believe any of this. I mean, unless he's completely insane, which I do believe he's a little insane, but not all the way there. He's just sitting there going on and on about bullcrap, while he could be doing some real things in his life, like improving himself, or maybe fighting his urges a little bit better, because after Idaho launched the death penalty, you'd think he'd be watching himself and the way he talks to minors, but no, not Corbin, because in just a little bit, you're going to hear that Corbin, he's a little more deceitful than he may come off, because he has all of the answers for Kiwi. When Kiwi's asking him, how do you groom people? And Corbin always sure knows all the answers. He doesn't seem like a smart person, but when it comes to that, he knows all the answers.
She stabbed me in the back, so I went with another girl by the name of Satori. She is an heiress to a millionaire, and her and I fell in love, and we started chatting. And I'm doing this because I don't want this. I don't want anything bad to happen to her. I don't want any evil to rub off on her. I love her wholeheartedly. I really do.
Yeah, but
I don't want this evil to end our relationship. You know, I don't want anything negative to happen to her.
yeah, I just have a legitimate, like, how old is she? Like, let's just be.
She is in my age range.
That might have been Smokey in the background right there that I missed.
Okay, so like, let's get a number. Like, I don't know. I know it's a weird question. I was gonna ask too. You know, since we're just on it, I know I've been asking you a lot of uncomfortable questions, but Linda's Discord, people are asking if Linda Binda had minors in her.
Yeah, I think I heard that. I think that was Smokey in the background.
It was the devil's side that made me do it because I was drunk.
I see. I've also heard you were high off nicotine. Could you describe what it's like being high off nicotine?
I forgot about the high off nicotine. Oh my god. Yes, yeah, he blames his potential predications towards children on being high on nicotine.
Bloodline, would you say, has
I'm gonna be honest with you, it was the devil's side that made me do it because I was drunk.
I see. I've also heard you were high off nicotine. Could you describe what it's like being high off nicotine?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. It feels weird. Like it's like
Maybe
being
check
high
the
on
private chat.
but way more intense.
Okay, continue.
That's either Smokey or that's Nick Nobody.
You know how people smoke marijuana in other states other than Idaho?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
But it makes you kind of more. It makes you hallucinate. It
I
literally
see.
it makes you hallucinate.
Okay, Necro. Yeah, thanks for confirming that. I wasn't sure if that was Nick or if it was Smokey, so thank you for letting me know it is Smokey. I know they do a lot of this stuff as a team, so.
And yeah, it was weird at the time. I did that one other time when I was living off of 12th down here in Idaho. I was living on 12th Avenue at the time, and I had 4 different nicotine levels in my vape, and I took a hit. And throughout the night, I was taking hit after hit after hit, and then finally I got high, and I was looking up at the ceiling, and my roommate came around, and he's like, "Corbin, are you high right now?" And I go, "What?" And he goes, "Are you high right now?" A little bit, and the whole time I was hallucinating.
God, do I hate Jupiter, or should I say Little Nicky, because anything dark he is going to associate himself to. I'm pretty sure in the initial Linda Binda interview, Jupiter was just a vampire werewolf. Now he's a vampire werewolf dragon, demon spawn, one of the first 9 sons of the devil. I mean, in all honesty, Tony the Black Dragon is going to have some talking to do with you, Jupiter, because you're still in his thunder. I mean, the next thing you're going to do is jump into a wheelchair and claim you don't got no legs or something. Come on, fool. But Chinchilla Nation, even though we're deep in the dark depths of hell, in the cringe and awkwardness, that is about to change very soon, because pretend time for Jupiter is about to be over, and Kiwi Tapes is about to have him admit some of the worst things I've ever heard anyone say, even from all the DAP, all the CCP that I've seen in this lifetime of mine. Not once have I heard any of the people getting caught admit to things like Jupiter did, because there's one difference. When these people are getting caught and confronted by normal people, they know to clam up, shut their mouth, and to say nothing. But when they're around their own, when they think they're in a comfortable position like Jupiter does right now, he's going to let it all spill out. And guys, I don't think you'll look at him the same.
And this is where Necro was talking about this call gets bad.
And I know you looked at him like a despicable, terrible, fat piece of trash that he is, but after this, he's not even human. The meme of Darkseid Phil's eyes been dark as the devil. I mean, Michael Myers' stepson. Jupiter is the real one. That is absolutely the truth. Where you have people like Chance Wilkins who will talk to children and talk to children, Jupiter does the same thing.
Side note, he actually just got caught twice in the past month talking to kids again. Cyrex, that is.
The exact same level of people like Cyrax, and he's a little bit worse because he actually goes outside and he actually makes sure he's contacting minors and he's on TikTok full of them. And something bad is bound to happen, just something.
And one night, out of the blue, some girls contacted me, and I was drunk and high, and started talking to them, and they asked me for an illicit picture.
But were they underage?
I didn't know they were until later when they said, "Yeah, we're underage, we're calling the police." I didn't know until it was too late. And I couldn't back out. Like, it was already too late. My fate was already sealed. And at that point, I was drunk, really high off my ass on nicotine, and I was just arrogant because I was drunk, tired, and high at the time. I was just an arrogant bastard. I didn't care who I hurt. I didn't care who I stepped on. But then things spiraled out of control. Then one morning, I had just woken up one measly spring afternoon, and the police threw open my door yelled out, "NCPD, freeze!" So I got down on my knees, put my hands on my head, and they cuffed me and they started frisking me. I'm like, I don't have anything that can poke, jab, or stab you. I never carry that sort of shit.
Yeah, you're not a junkie, you know. You got to do what you got to do to survive.
Exactly. It's a man world
Yeah,
out there.
and if you got a message, whoever you got a message, it's just whatever.
Yeah, if underage people are able to know what sex is, then they should be old enough to actually understand the concept, you know?
So basically, like, you're in the right.
Yeah, they should. If they're talking about stuff like that, I'm like, they should be old enough to actually experience it on their own, you know?
And you're advocating for that.
Exactly. I'm advocating for actual civil rights. That's a civil right. That if someone's old enough to know what sex is and know how to appreciate it, then they're old enough to do it themselves, you know? It's no secret.
You know, the great werewolf, vampire, unicorn, nine son of the devil, civil rights advocate, Jupiter, the hybrid.
The world itself is corrupt. The children aren't going to be the future. It'll be the adults who are the future. The children are just a stepping stone at this point.
Keep going. Like, I'm inspired.
So what I'm going on about is, if we could have any civil liberties, I will do what I have to make sure people understand. I mean,
what is it they need to understand? What is it? What's the message?
Age is only a number, despite how people think. Age is just another number in the world. There are countless people living and dying all over us, all over the world. There are people living and dying without ever producing offspring or enjoying their last days just being with the people they care about and love and want to be loved by. It's very hard in this world. So that's what I'm advocating for. Let age be a number instead of just some other personality, you know? Let age just be a number. That's what the US needs to do, is just let age be a number at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
they should stop the, this person's a minor. No. Age is just, get it right, people.
It seems like you've had a lot of issues with that. Like, I mean, you've had no offense, I'm not trying to be offensive. You had a lot of 15-year-old girlfriends. I mean, how would you say that all these laws have impacted you?
It's made it an inconvenience. It's an inconvenience. It's a basic inconvenience of humanity. You do what you have to produce offspring, so that way your family bloodline can survive and move on, move forward. Exactly. Keep it off of social media. Keep people from noticing it. Because
I mean, he could call himself a lot of different things. But you're right. Kind of does the Jupiter name dirty.
You get noticed and get called on. You are going to wind up getting your ass handed a warrant for your stuff.
I see. So I can do these things, but I got to keep it quiet.
Exactly. And also, if you're planning on doing anything cool with your life and actually becoming someone famous like me,
yeah,
do it in the right way. Don't do it to where, the fame's going to go to my head. Don't do that.
I see.
It's not going to me.
I see.
Live and learn by example.
Okay.
Just like Jesus told us a long time ago, live and learn by example.
What examples would you say that you've set? Like, what, honestly, like, how can I solicit minors and be secret about it? You seem to be, like, knowledgeable on the subject. I know that we're getting off topic. I just want to keep it, like, I'm just trying to learn. You seem like a guy I can learn a lot from. Absolutely. Take your time. I don't even know. Yeah, we don't want too many people. Like, these are insider details.
Well, just make sure that if you're gonna do it, make sure that their minds are more pliable. Meaning, mold their minds into a certain mindset. Take to heart that if you do get caught, take to heart, just claim insanity or some shit, and the police will automatically believe it.
No, they won't. And he's naive to think that, but I'm happy to have him be naive in thinking this. I honestly am.
Should I say that did you ever say that you didn't know their age? Like, is that a good way to get out of it?
I claimed not knowing. I claimed that. I said I didn't know.
But did you?
How was I supposed to know? Yeah, I told the police everything I knew.
But I mean, I'm just asking for, like, just between us boys, like, when you told them you didn't know, did you know?
Well, technically, yeah.
I see.
It was way after it was way before I got arrested and way after I got arrested.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, they didn't arrest me. They just put me in cuffs.
For sure, and they confiscated, from what I saw from the Kiwi Tapes video, it seems like they took 3 of your devices.
Hey, lady, how's it going?
Do you realize something?
You get up in jail for that.
Wow. I mean, let's just be honest here. Like, what? Yeah, between me and you, like, we obviously share the same mindset. We're two quick friends. What would you say, like, is in those, like, just between us? Like, was there anything they could find?
Not really. Mostly on my Discord, on my phone.
Did you send, like, any nude messages or anything?
Just on my Snap, my Insta, and maybe on my Discord, but that was a long time ago.
So like three different platforms. That's all.
Yeah, 3 different platforms because it got passed around a lot.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But at that time, I had already known and was ready to.
Oh, we're listening to a little bit of Jupiter the hybrid kind of ratting himself out, and this was there was recently an interview with his sister, and where she's kind of actually seems to be the polar opposite of Jupiter hybrid, which if you don't know if Jupiter is, they're a TikTok predator. amongst various other things. You hear the quieter of the voices. The reason why I gotta have the subtitles on, that's Jupiter. The louder of the voices is Kiwi. Kiwi Tapes. And Kiwi Tapes is kind of a lolcow wrangler is the best title that the title I feel is most fitting for them. But I'm listening to all this because we have there's also some stuff going on with Linda Binda, which Linda Binda is a troll tied to Jupiter the Hybrid. That there's been some kind of stuff coming out recently.
Do a quick clean up and close the chat rooms before the police actually showed up.
I see. So what you would recommend to me?
Whoa.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But at that time, I had already known and was ready to do a quick clean up and close the chat rooms before the police actually showed up.
I see. So what you would recommend to me is closing the chat rooms before the police show up. Could you describe?
Delete the chat rooms,
Okay.
delete everything, and just
What-
wipe your memory card.
What am I supposed to suspect from one of these chat rooms? Because I'm not trying to get caught up with like a sting op. Like what constitutes as real and fake? Like I'm trying to find like someone underage that I can spend time with.
Explain to you. If the person asks for some sort of photo or something, think carefully before you make your next move, because what got me caught was me being open about it, and that's what got me caught. So just make sure that if they ask you, hey, we're definitely not police officers, send us this, this, and this, you know they're police.
Yeah.
You know they're cops waiting to kick your ass and throw you in prison.
I
Out here, they said the death penalty in Idaho was reinstated for pedophiles. It says it all over the net.
So we're going to show them that we're real pedophiles and we're real paranormal investigators.
Well, technically, we shouldn't say real pedophiles.
Why shouldn't we? I thought we were open about it.
Well, between you and me, CJ isn't, though.
So CJ is one, but he isn't open.
No, CJ isn't one at all, is what I said.
Oh, but me and you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to announce that in the show because it will get us canceled.
Oh.
This is war.
So, Chinchilla Nation, I didn't watch this interview until I started editing it. I was going to leave it till then, and then a few things popped up, and I never thought I was going to get to it. But after Linda Binda's recent episode, I was like, yeah, this would be a perfect thing to watch for, Senior Chinchilla's channel. I think they'll love it. But I had no idea. I didn't even watch Smokey's video. I had no idea just how bad this got. I couldn't believe the words coming out of Jupiter's mouth. It really made me just want him 6 feet under, because this was not a whole lot of prodding from Kiwi. It was just a few simple sentences. This is the first time they have ever talked to one another, and this is how comfortable Jupiter is. And just to spill all of this, imagine if there was someone he was able to hurt in his, vicinity. It would be game over for him. I mean, he would be doing the exact same thing that his older brother did to him. And if you heard what his sister said, when she got hurt initially, she was just in a Blue's Clues outfit in some kind of tiny little bed. So, I don't put nothing past Jupiter, especially after the little bit of prodding Kiwi did, and he's already back to it. He's not forgiving. He doesn't care about anyone. Like you said earlier, where he's like,
yeah, this guy's got some definite messed up tendencies about him. But we kind of watched all that to lead into this next portion, which is the Linda Binda side of it. So again, Linda Binda's kind of been this kind of like troll, like tangential person involved with the whole Jupiter the Hybrid situation. They came on to actually start initially trolling them, and because they wanted to see what they could get out of them for content, and it's kind of led them down this whole years long rabbit hole. They've been involved in this for a minute.
So around the time I started the Jupiter interviews video, something else was being brought up. When I first heard about it, I almost wanted to include it in the Jupiter vid, but by the time I had a good idea of what was going on, I was far too into making that video to stop and try to include it without having to seriously restructure everything. So I figured just make it its own video. Before I get into what's going on with Linda Binda, I want to make a few things clear here. I am not saying any of these accusations against Linda are true, nor am I going to say they are false. I'm going to try and present them as fairly as I can, and I will give my 2 cents on everything, but I'm going to do my best to remain as neutral as I can here. This is a relatively new situation, so things may come out later while I'm making this video that render what I'm going to say here completely irrelevant. I hope that's not the case, but that's a possibility. Also, just so you guys understand where I'm coming from, I don't know Linda. I have never interacted with them. I have only watched their videos related to Jupiter, so I'm neither a fan or a hater of Linda, just to make that clear. Alright, I think I'll cover my bases here. Let's get into this. So these accusations all surround Discord, which I swear, if there's ever some drama or a scandal with a content creator, it's either on Twitter or Discord, or both.
And I've got some information on this, but I'll pause and add in as I see fit here. So I didn't watch this one beforehand. I know, I apologize, but typically I do. But this seemed to combine a lot of the information that I saw from other videos, and seemed to have just on a quick once over a lot of the good information. So.
But on February 8th of this year, a Kiwi Farms user uploaded screenshots of minors being in Linda's Discord server, some of them being as young as 13 years old. There are also adults in the server, and one screenshot showed someone being 40 years old. or at least claiming they are. More evidence came from an anonymous source that reached out to another YouTuber named Evil White Bowser, which shows that there are roles on the server, and one in particular is a designated minor role with an icon of a bird. To get role assigned, all you have to do is check a little box that says, are you a minor or are you 18? And if you press you're not 18, then you get tagged as a minor. The anonymous source also goes on to show that in the gaming channel of this server, Linder had a message stating how people could friend them on Roblox, meaning adults or minors could potentially play Roblox with them. There's also a channel called Introduce Yourself where people openly state their age. There's also a paid subscriber section with different tiers, but as far as I know, nobody's confirmed what sort of content is actually there. I've seen some people in comments on some of the vids of going over this stuff, or some of the community posts going over stuff, that there's like NSFW stuff in there, but as far as I know, that's a rumor, and I haven't seen anything that backs that up. But after all this stuff started gaining attention recently, people reported that the server had been nuked, and that a new server is now up, and there was something strange about that. People are reporting that they were getting warnings about the server, and that the connection is not private, and that the website may be impersonating a legitimate Discord page to steal personal info or financial information. This led to people alleging that Linda is using an IP grabber to try and get the personal information of people joining or trying to investigate what's going on with Linda. Club Doom acquired the link and ran it through VirusTotal, and the results came back as phishing and malicious. He later checked with NordVPN's site tracker, and they said it's clean. Others are claiming that it's a simple SSL cert error, which can occur when the browser fails to recognize the installed SSL certificate, or the certificate authority is either invalid or just not recognized by the browser. And this can lead to errors indicating the site is potentially dangerous, even though it might not be. Now, this can happen if, say, the certificate installation didn't complete properly on the servers hosting the website. If there is an incomplete installation, it shows one cert file and a broken red chain. The error can also occur when the server itself issues the SSL and not a certificate authority cert, so the browser just doesn't trust it. So it doesn't necessarily mean the site itself is malicious or that there is any IP grabber or anything like that in play. So I found the link on our link tree, and I plugged it into 3 different site checkers, including Norton, Trend Micro, and Site Checker. All 3 came back as clean. Even as an extra precaution, I went to VirusTotal and put a link there. One checker did mark it as suspicious, but every other one that's on the VirusTotal site came back clean. So the warnings people were getting could have been an SSL error. Of course, not saying this is likely, but of course, that could also mean that Linda simply removed whatever malicious thing was on there after a while, or by the time I checked it. Because one thing I did notice in the VirusTotal, it did say it was last modified on April 5th. Now, of course, it doesn't tell me what that modification was, or if that means that there was something malicious there before or anything like that. As far as I can tell, the link is safe. I will say this, though, it is kind of shady that the server got nuked once people started having questions about it. That doesn't sound like something an innocent person would do. Now, Linda has also stated in comment sections that this isn't their server and that they're not in charge of anything, that they did not make the server at all. I've heard others saying that it's a fan server that Linda just hangs out in and posts messages in, and that the server apparently requires you to be 18 or older with an ID verification before you can even discuss Jupiter Hybrid. But others have pointed out that if it's not Linda's server, then what were those paid subscription tiers? Because I noticed that in the tiers it says you get access to never before seen TikToks, and that sounds like something Linda would have to set up. Not to mention, Linda did have the server on their link tree, so it seems that Linda has a little bit more input in the server than they're letting on here. Going back to the server itself, it is weird that the server allows minors in it, giving Linda's content. It doesn't strike me as age appropriate for minors. However, realistically, what can you do to keep minors out? Like, you could request someone send you a picture of their ID, but if a minor's clever enough, they could just have a fake ID, because I mean, those are a thing. Or they could take a picture of a relative's ID and say it's theirs when, the relative's not looking or whatever. Plus, I doubt most would be comfortable with showing their government ID to some stranger on the internet. I wouldn't want to do that. If someone asked me that, I'd just be like, nah, I'm good. You can keep whatever it is you're showing over there. They could restrict the server to 18 plus, as there's a way to mark a server like that. But again, minors be lying about their age, so they could get around that if they really want to. And I know minors be lying about their age because when I was a minor, I did that. I would always, whenever I had an age gate thing, I'd set my birthday to like 1970 something to bypass that. So minors are going to get in if they really want to, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try if your content channel are centered around dark subject matter, like what Linda covers. At least when it comes to Jupiter, maybe their other content is way more, lighthearted than like a minor, maybe like a teenager could watch it. I've also seen servers where there are sections that are marked 18 plus, but there's general chats that aren't age restricted. So the server could have had a similar setup. I looked at the unedited footage of like the evidence that I guess the anonymous source presented. When looking at the channels, I don't see anything that screamed NSFW. The only thing that you maybe could argue that, but I think it's a little bit of a stretch because they don't actually show what's in this channel, is there is a channel with the title Selfie, but the person recording this doesn't show that channel, maybe because it has minors like taking selfies near it and want to potentially dox them, which is understandable. But it doesn't show like the rules they have in there. So I don't know if, NSFW selfies were allowed. I don't want to make that claim without some proof of that. I went and checked Liquid Chris's and Jacob Sockness's video, and they went into the selfie channel. They censored people's faces for privacy reasons. And, we don't want to dox anybody here. But at no point did they say any of the selfies were sexual or lewd, but they did know that the ones they looked at did appear underage, or, could pass for underage. So likely there are minors posting selfies in there, but as they didn't highlight anything as, worse than that. So, make of that as you will. But I do think it's weird to have minors posting pictures of themselves and stuff, especially with adults present. That does sound like it could be a recipe for disaster or for something inappropriate to happen. Not only that, but there is also a mental health channel where minors are also present. It seems like minors can access this channel too, along with adults, and they can vent about personal issues. Linda makes an appearance in this, and they mention a disclaimer because someone, I think, did something that violated one of the rules, or was getting close to doing that. The rules on the top of the channel state that you cannot attack or abuse someone, and includes a crisis line number if people need help. The worst I can say about that channel, depending on what the person's thinking about, it might not be age appropriate for a minor to hear that, depending on what's being said, but I wasn't seeing anything in there that stood out as potentially predatory. The only thing I did find that was inappropriate for a minor is the names of the subscription tiers, as all of them have been Dussy in the title, which I don't think I need to explain that. That's not appropriate for minors, but given the fact you got to pay for them, I don't think it's super likely a minor is getting access to these unless they stole their parents' credit card. Their parents just do not care and don't pay attention to what their kid be doing online. Just a whole other can of worms. But there's one last thing that does potentially make Linda look bad. Oh, sorry, there's actually two things. One is Jacob Sockness. Yes, the actual Jacob Sockness was investigating this, and apparently when he was in the server, he got a role assigned to him that was labeled Daddy, which again, that's a little weird. It's a little bit weird.
There's another one. They're all like between like 16 to like 20. There's mine when I first joined it. Name classified 40, he, him, father, hobbies, research into deep state occult, globalism, favorite color, royal purple. And then they immediately gave me the tag. They gave me the tag Daddy. And then they took it off like 30 minutes later. And then after that, it just kind of fell off.
But that's not the only thing, no. You see, Linda was in a public server for another content creator named CCDN, and apparently there was a minor in the server, along with someone who was allegedly a known PDF file, according to Liquid Chris, because they're the ones who posted this. But later on, Liquid Chris asked Linda about the server and why they were in there, and why they didn't say anything about a minor being in a server with a alleged known pedophile. I'm saying alleged because I don't know anything about this person, and I don't, know who they are. But I'll play Linda's response to that.
Am I British? No. Someone asked, why were you in a server with a known PEDO and a minor and did nothing about it? I actually do not know what you're talking about. So please take that somewhere else. You might have the wrong person. I don't know what you're talking about.
The only thing that this seems to prove is that Linda was in the server, but it could be possible they genuinely don't know who the alleged PDF is, because I don't know who that is. I don't know what they've done, allegedly. And if anyone in the comment section knows who the alleged PDF is, can you tell me? Hell, I'm in several servers, and there are probably dozens of people in there that I don't know anything about or what they're like. So it's plausible that Linda just does not know. One can't address something if they don't know it's happening. And the screenshot doesn't prove that Linda saw the kid saying they're 15, or that they had any knowledge that the person was a predator, or is a predator, I should say, allegedly. Now, the thing that is a little bit odd is how fast they got timed out by Linda, or Linda's mod anyway, when Liquid Quest brought this up. And it looks like they even got banned. I won't lie, that does look suspicious, but I could chalk it up to an overly aggressive / protective mod or something, or it could be Linda's trying to hide something. I should also mention that Liquid Chris and Jacob Sockness had a TikTok video up talking about the Discord server, and Linda left a comment on the video, and shortly after that, it seems like the video was taken off for harassment and bullying, apparently. Yeah, that doesn't look too good. As far as I'm aware, that is everything that we know about what's going on, about this accusation.
Do you know any more about this Sockness person, Necro? Because I've never heard of them before.
/ drama with Linda. So let's just wrap this up. Oh man, I don't know what to make of this. The evidence we have doesn't show Linda being a creep or anything, so the people jumping, claiming that I think they might be jumping the gun, you might want to pump the brakes a little bit. So far, the only thing I can say is it just seems like they're willing to associate with minors on Discord, despite aspects of their content not being appropriate for minors, and that could be weird, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, Linda's trying to groom them or anything like that. I do agree that it's might not be a good look and could be a potential cause of issues, because, adults interacting with minors, there's always a chance that someone in that server does something inappropriate with a minor, so you're just kind of inviting that risk, and that's definitely a fair criticism that you can have. There also wasn't any channels that...
I had no idea about that. I gotta probably go through all the freaking Gino videos. So I had no idea about that. And I've probably actually come across it. And I recently grabbed a video on the whole Chris Tan thing that I was gonna rewatch. It's like a 5-hour long deal. I wonder if it's actually by there. Playlists. You guys can see all playlists that I do. Okay.
Towards something else that grows them.
Oh, what?
It makes
stop. Shh. Why can't I don't want to.
All about her.
Okay.
It's all about.
Stop it. Go away. Just want to see
her and Autumn now. And she.
Do you stop talking every time? No, it's Gamer from Mars. Gamers. I know I've watched Gamer from Mars video before, and it was pretty damn good. It's not quite as in depth as Gino stuff, but he was trying to buy his way into. Oh, for a while. So have some non-con. Okay. I feel like I remember this now. They're not the ones that did the interview, are they? They're not the ones that had like the long video. Shh. In here. So wasn't there a bunch? Wasn't there like a couple people that traveled to Chris's house and did like a whole like pseudo interview? Because I remember like the dog barking the entire freaking they're like hound dogs just barking like a mother the entire time. And I thought it was relatively recent because like they had footage of like when they actually pull up to Chris's home and all that. Was that at the beginning of this? Would have been earlier. Right here it is.
Hey, how are you?
Art, is that right?
How's it going, Christian? Nice to meet you. I'm Jesse.
It's an honor to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Christine, hello. I'm Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Suppose we can go inside.
Yeah, let's go inside. Okay.
We're gonna do the interviews now.
No, they don't look like him. Never mind. That's who I thought it was.
That explicitly stated that they were NSFW, so we don't have any proof that there's anything sexual happening there. Of course, just because we don't have proof of something doesn't mean that something, isn't happening, but we also can't say that it
Okay, that's a lot of level of weird. And now I need to look into this individual.
is happening if we don't have any proof. As for the ownership of the server thing, I don't think Linda's being 100% truthful about that because of the monetized aspects of it, since it shows that people could get access to never before seen videos on TikTok.
You guys Sleepless in Seattle now meet Sleepless on YouTube. I've now been intrigued by the fact that you said that they bought First Chance shoes and
So to me, it doesn't seem like Linda.
This is how I go into these freaking fucking rabbit holes of information. I find one weird fact out. By the way, that whole other video that kept playing that I was trying to the entire time, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. I might just show you guys that. There was some fucking creepy shit with that.
Linda's being honest there, so that would mean that Linda most likely has a high degree of control over the server, and you could probably argue Linda was part owner of the server. It could have started as a fan server, but as it grew and Linda became aware of it, Linda just sort of made it an official server. That's possible. Now, we could argue that being vague or dishonest about the ownership of the server is a sign that there's something going on there, and that there's a possibility there was something sinister happening there, especially since it suddenly got wiped, and Linda likely either did it on their own or convinced the other owners to wipe it. But we haven't seen anything definitive, so we really don't know. As for the alleged IP grabber, as I said, I ran through 4 different security checkers, and outside of one of the checkers on Virus Total coming back as suspicious, but all the other ones on that site coming back as, safe, nothing came up. So I'm just going to say the link is clean. Could there have been an IP grabber on that link in the past that was removed by the time I checked it, but was there when Club Doom and others were looking at it? Possibly. Could have been an SSL error? That's also possible. I'm just going to lean towards...
That's interesting too, because I didn't see anything pop up with Club Doom, and I believe I'm subbed to Doom. Because I've used their videos for stuff before. Jesus. Look, sub to them. I know I've watched their before, unless it was not on my channel here and it was on my other one that I've watched. No, because I have this one, actually, in my, one of my folders for Dreama videos to watch. To White Bowser, because I know I've watched that video. I know I've used... Yeah, because I used Club Doom's video when I went over the White Bowser stuff. Because Doom was one of 2 people. I think Biff, Doom, and then Nick were the only people who even covered the Nate Dogg stuff aside from me, because I'd watched Nate Dogg stuff. I'll have to dig through. Don't see anything offhand. Yeah, I don't see anything on Linda Binda stuff.
It's an SSL error, but arrive at your own conclusion. The Liquor Chris TikTok video getting taken down after Linda commented on it could be Linda false flagging it, but I'm not familiar.
Yeah, that's weird. I know that they did a bunch of that recently. I heard about that happening, and people got on sub from a bunch of people lately. But yeah, I know specifically. I know I've used this because he was one of the only people to have an uninterrupted copy of the apology video on this before I found a re-upload, which I think ultimately got taken down. I think my video has one of the few copies, because he struck a bunch of people that had the actual apology video. Somehow, just me being small enough, I wasn't worthwhile enough, I guess, to get struck, or didn't end up on the radar. Oh my God, stop it.
Familiar with how TikTok works, so I don't know if there's any way to prove if someone reported it as bullying or if some bot did. Who knows? It could have been a Linda stan, for all we know, who just didn't like the idea of someone criticizing Linda. Who knows? Then there's a claim that Linda was sending minors to Jupiter and putting them in harm's way. I don't know where this claim is coming from, but I've seen people parroting it, but I've yet to see any proof of that, so what am I supposed to do with it?
Okay, and I think we can kind of just link right back to where that claim is coming from, because we just literally freaking heard it. I mean, I'll go back here, go back here, go back here.
There's all this crazy stuff, and you just, when you're a kid, you're sitting there thinking, and this guy, they were always really interesting. And for a few months, every now and then in the morning time, I would look, he's it. That's for sure. And I guarantee
right
you,
in here.
That's what all the other classmates around Corbin were thinking about him. Because even when he's 25 years old, he's sitting in his room, could be thinking of ways to get a job, lose some weight, while he could be doing some real things in his life, like improving himself, and the way he talks. He doesn't seem like a smart person, but when it comes to that, he knows all the answers.
She stabbed me in the back, so I went with another girl by the name of Satori. She is an heiress to a millionaire, and her and I
right towards the beginning of this,
and we started chatting.
There was a thing about Linda.
Because I don't want this.
As how old she is.
Bad to happen to her. I don't want any evil to rub off on her. I love her wholeheartedly.
Yeah, because there's a Smokey thing.
You know, since we're just on it, I know I've been asking you a lot of uncomfortable questions, but Linda's Discord, people are asking if Linda Binda had minors in her Discord, and if you were like maybe like at some point in your past, of course, talking to these minors.
That was a long time ago. I let it be.
I see. But there were
And see, I heard that when we were listening through it. And I thought that was kind of weird, which is also like, why I don't understand why we're not able to make that with the
Then there's a claim that Linda was sending minors to Jupiter and putting them in harm's way. I don't know where this claim is coming from, but I've seen people parroting it, but I've yet to see any proof of that, so what am I supposed to do with it? I would hope it's not true, but again, we don't have any proof, so I'm just going to assume it isn't for now. But at this time, we don't have a smoking gun here as far as from what I've seen. So is Linda a groomer? Is Linda innocent? I don't know. I guess we gotta wait and see if anyone else comes forward with some good evidence of Linda doing something wrong here. Wrong in that regard, at least. Alright, I'm getting a headache thinking about this. I've never felt so unsure of what to make of a situation like this. Normally when I cover people on the show, it's clear-cut what they did, but this? Nah. There's way too many unknowns here. The only thing I can confirm is that Linda hangs out with minors in a Discord server, potentially, and on Roblox, but, no one has said that anything inappropriate has happened, and had proof, so we can't really say much yet. But that's where we're gonna stop. Let me know what you guys think about this.
I don't know. I think it's kind of weird when you listen to this, though, because
She is in my age range, so.
okay, so like let's get a number. Like I don't know. I know it's a weird question from I was going to ask too since we're just on it, I know I've been asking you a lot of uncomfortable questions, but Linda's Discord, people are asking if Linda Binda had minors in her Discord, and if you were like maybe like at some point in your past, of course, talking to these minors.
That was a long time ago. I let it be.
I see. But there were
okay. I don't know if they cut this up, but now I kind of want to check. Is this on Key Archive? Kiwi tapes or Key Archive? We'll see. Probably on. It's on one of them. This is 4 weeks ago.
Jupiter the hybrid.
I was scared. I didn't know what else to do. So I started around the issue, and they took my Xbox One, my phone, and my laptop and left.
Yesterday.
She was the one who did so. She was the one who contacted me.
So then it's your job as an adult to block her or close the conversation.
But you're currently married to a 16-year-old.
Not even, she's 15, Kiwi.
And after a while, we start talking about Jupiter's brothers. As I've said numerous times, 2 of them have been to jail, but
And I am apologizing publicly for my actions. I have no ill will against anyone who hates.
he started to receive the threats. Of course, we got all of the iconic ones like you'll end up in a hole in my hometown, but there was one threat in particular that stuck with me. It didn't come from Jupiter. It came from the devil himself possessing Jupiter's body, or at least
I may not be in physical form with you guys, but let's just say I'll be the demon at night that waits for you to go to bed.
throughout the 4.5 hours that we interviewed Corbin, there were countless jaw-dropping moments. If you want to see the whole thing, I have it up on my Kiwi Tapes Rumble page, but Smokey MCC also made a great video condensing the whole thing down.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's on the Rumble page. Now, does he have a link? Yeah. So, am I missing it? Am I just overlooking it? I thought it was right about a month ago. Didn't that just say 4 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago.
Possessing Jupiter.
What was the date? Can you actually give me a fucking date? March 20th. March 20th. And we're literally exactly 4 weeks ago. It's 1 month. How did he take it down? Wait. But that's not the full interview. Maybe I'm just looking at that. It was a 4-hour interview. It's 3.5. That's kind of a normal show for them. Okay. So option B, we go to Smokey's channel. And then we look for this one.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, of him trying to act scary and sinister, here he is trying to do the Call of Duty zombies laugh. But the way that Jupiter just so freely keeps going after victims and then claims that he's saying that he is not going to change, but now here to try to get more criticism off him. Yeah, guys, I've already changed and I'm not a child. Gets on another interview again, he's going to say the same things he did to me and Kiwi and then get caught another time. Maybe with someone like Nova they know. Oh no, now that's Jupiter here. So the name of his new TikTok account is simply Jupiter the Hybrid 1998. And comment to this video. We just can't let people.
You know what? I might have confused fucking Jupiter with Nova when it comes to the whole so the second call is Jupiter the Hybrid got worse. First one is first call is the 4-hour one. Okay. I'm trying to figure out where they talked about this whole Linda situation. You would think that would be the more recent one. Back Yeah, I confused Nova and Jupiter. As you can see, they look very similar, so it's an easy confusion to have. Nova was actually the one I fought with the Pikachu. Now that I've seen them. Yeah, that's the update. Jupiter got worse.
For those who don't know, very scary case, and along the lines of like just things I've heard, some of their toys come to life and try to solicit me for the whole paranormal thing.
Tell me, what other things have been strange around your house? Have you noticed anything else strange? Like,
And, if you were like maybe like at some point in your past, of course, talking to these minors.
that was a long time ago. I let it be.
I see, but there were kids
right here. This would have been 3 weeks. Been right around the time when stuff happened.
I was gonna ask too, since we're just on it, I know I've been asking you a lot of uncomfortable questions, but Linda's Discord, people are asking if Linda Binda had minors in her Discord, and if you were like maybe like at some point in your past, of course, talking to these minors.
That was a long time ago. I let it be.
I see, but there were kids in Linda Binda's Discord who you were talking to.
That wasn't her Discord. It was a Discord I made a long time ago.
Okay.
On my laptop,
But what about hers though? Was he ever in it?
But
okay, so that was disingenuously cut. I go back a little bit because I also want to hear what Smokey says.
Discord I made a long time ago.
Okay.
On my laptop.
But what about hers though? Was he ever in it?
But you see, I went into the Linda Discord like a couple weeks back, and I was just curious. Like, have you ever been in there?
No, I don't talk to her. I cut contact.
But we're like in the past. Were you ever in there?
No, I never would.
Never in the Linda Binda Discord.
Nope.
Yeah, about the case.
Well, that's a disingenuous as fuck cut, if you ask me, Mr. Senor Chinchilla. Is the way you make it sound.
Let's get a number. Like, I don't know. I know it's a weird question from. I was gonna ask too. Since we're just on it, I know I've been asking you a lot of uncomfortable questions, but Linda's Discord, people are asking if Linda Binda had minors in her Discord, and if you were like maybe like at some point in your past, of course, talking to these minors.
That was a long time ago. I let it be.
I see, but there were kids in Linda Binda's Discord who you were talking to.
That wasn't her Discord.
Okay.
It was a Discord I made a long time ago.
Okay.
It'll be on my laptop.
Spoken to the devil?
You do realize you're talking to one of his.
Okay, so it wasn't as disingenuous as I recalled. Okay, my apologies, but there was still a little bit of a disingenuous cut, but not as bad as it sounded the first time when I went through it.
Discord, people are asking if Linda Binda had minors in her Discord, and if you were like maybe like at some point in your past, of course, talking to these minors.
That was a long time ago. I let it be.
I see, but there were kids in Linda Binda's Discord who you were talking to.
That wasn't her Discord. It was a Discord I made a long time ago.
Okay.
It'll be on my laptop.
But what about hers though? Was he ever in it?
But you see, I went into the Linda Discord like a couple weeks back, and I was just curious. Like, have you ever been in there?
No, I don't talk to her. I cut contact.
But we're like in the past. Were you ever in there?
No, I never would.
Never in the Linda Binda Discord.
I still feel like it's a little bit of a disingenuous cut because obviously with this a little bit, I mean, you're talking about what, fucking 30 seconds. Was it really going to kill you to have that extra little context in there? Especially with everything going on that you alluded to in the beginning of this. So you knew that there was stuff with the Linda stuff. You knew that that would be a checkpoint on your video. It's obviously like it's, am I looking at the timeline right? Yeah. Looks like most people have listened to your video all the way through. I don't see any peaks. Yeah. I don't see any peaks or anything that I'm missing. But it's just, it seems a little disingenuous to cut out the extra little 10 seconds there that would add even more context. Okay, that was me being pedantic for like 5 minutes more than I had to be.